Chapter 1. An ordinary day in the rhythm of everyday life. Detroit was waking under the soft glow of the morning sun, its streets still shrouded in the gentle mist of pre-dawn coolness. In that very moment, when every second seemed to promise a new beginning, Eminem, renowned around the world as a fierce rap artist and a symbol of the fight for truth, decided to run a simple errand at a small, cozy supermarket nestled in the heart of his hometown. For him, this store was not merely a place to buy groceries. It was a kind of sanctuary where he could momentarily escape from the roar of applause, the flashing cameras, and the relentless bustle of city life. As he stepped inside, he was greeted by the familiar aroma of freshly baked bread, ripe vegetables, and coffee, a warm, almost homely atmosphere that beckoned him. Clad in simple yet stylish clothes, Eminem looked every bit the ordinary shopper, focused only on fulfilling his basic needs. Gone was the glitz of celebrity that usually accompanied him on stage. Instead, his face was serene, reflecting an inner calm born of years of struggle and triumph. His eyes held a quiet confidence, enriched by life's experiences and a profound understanding of human nature. His journey through the aisles was almost ritualistic. He slowly perused the shelves stocked with goods, carefully choosing between fresh fruits and vegetables, savoring the simple joy found in everyday moments. Every step was accompanied by the little details that made the day special. The hum of the refrigerators, the subdued voices of the cashiers, and the gentle murmur of conversations at the counters all blended together into a symphony of life. A symphony that seemed as though nature itself was intent on telling a story of those precious, unassuming moments. Eminem's demeanor spoke of a deep respect for the ordinary. Here there was no place for vanity or pomp. Only sincerity and kindness were valued. In such an environment, one could truly taste life, for every moment offered an opportunity to pause and reflect on what truly mattered. Yet, as fate would have it, just when the routine of the day seemed unbreakable, destiny had a surprise in store. While methodically making his way toward the fresh produce section, his eyes caught sight of an elderly woman standing by a display of vibrant apples. Her appearance did not herald any trouble. A neatly arranged silver mane, a modest blouse, a graceful casualness in her movements all spoke of a life deeply interwoven with the fabric of this place. But as their eyes met, a sinister air seemed to descend. The fragile boundary between the mundane and a sudden eruption of ancient prejudices began to blur. In that fleeting moment, everything around him seemed to hold its breath. Even the familiar rustle of bags and the soft clatter of cash registers receded into the background, as if anticipating the inevitable collision of worlds. Her eyes, filled with a mix of disapproval and accusation, foretold that her words would soon shatter the tranquility of this unremarkable morning. And so began the day, a day when even a simple grocery run transformed into a stage for testing human values and inner strength, where the everyday became an epic canvas on which words capable of shaking the very foundations of a familiar world were about to be spoken. Chapter 2. The Explosion of Prejudices. As Eminem, still enveloped in the calm of the early morning, continued his journey through the store, his gaze inadvertently fell upon the woman standing amid a display of gleaming apples and succulent pears. Her face, which had earlier appeared serene amid the usual shopping routine, suddenly twisted into a grimace of indignation. In her eyes flared a shadow of ancient grievances and prejudices, accumulated over countless years, and in that moment the entire store seemed to shrink in anticipation of an inevitable outburst. Without warning, the woman spun around to face Eminem, her voice first timid and wavering, then gradually swelling into a loud, accusatory roar that cut through the murmurs of the supermarket. "You don't belong here," she thundered, her voice echoing like a long-forgotten cry aimed at a stranger. Every word struck the silence with the force of a knife slicing through soft butter, causing the hearts of those present to skip a beat, while the atmosphere thickened with tension. For a fleeting moment, time itself seemed to stand still. Shoppers, previously absorbed in their own affairs, now froze, trying to grasp the full meaning of what they had just heard. The woman's eyes, burning with a cold resolve, followed every move of the famous rapper. Her tone was laden with reproach and outdated stereotypes, as if she were declaring that the lines between us and them were still rigidly drawn. She continued, addressing not only Eminem but everyone within earshot. Your image, your ways, none of this belongs with us. Her words, imbued with bitterness and prejudice, shattered the delicate equilibrium of everyday life, leaving behind a residue of hurt and misunderstanding. Meanwhile, the very setting around them seemed to mirror the internal drama. The sound of humming refrigerators and the gentle rustle of shopping bags receded, overshadowed by the sudden emotional tempest. Some onlookers averted their gaze, unwilling to witness such a raw display of hostility, while others turned their attention towards the woman, their faces a mix of shock and dawning realization of the injustice in her words. A heavy, unnatural silence fell over the store, a silence in which every soul grappled with questions of fairness and equality. In that critical moment, Eminem felt an ember of determination kindle within him. Despite the shock and cruelty of the accusations hurled at him, he remained composed, like a seasoned artist poised to respond not with anger, but with wisdom and dignity. As his eyes locked with the icy resolve of the woman, it was as if life itself braced for the impending clash of eras, one defined by centuries-old biases and the other illuminated by the ideals of modern equality. Her voice, saturated with outdated notions of purity and belonging, grew louder and more forceful. You shouldn't be here. Your roots aren't ours. These words, like cold arrows, pierced the fragile veil of normalcy, leaving every witness to experience a blend of shock and regret. Passers-by exchanged looks, their faces reflecting an inner conflict between condemning her harshness and a reluctant awakening to the reality that, even in the 21st century, such ignorance still reared its head. At that moment, the supermarket was transformed into a crucible of meaning, where every passing second was heavy with the potential to reshape lives, and every word held the power to change destinies. There was neither laughter nor joy, only a muted, almost imperceptible sigh of bewilderment and disappointment, as if the world itself was mourning the persistence of old prejudices. It was as though the world had split into two, one half steeped in modernity and the pursuit of equality, and the other mired in the shadows of fear and old biases. Oblivious to the growing astonishment and concern around her, the woman continued her tirade, her tone as unyielding as stone. Though her voice was firm, it betrayed a trace of inner pain, perhaps a pain born of past injustices. Yet in that moment she acted as a megaphone for archaic dogmas, leaving no room for the gentle possibility of change. Eminem, with his calm resolve, looked deeply into her eyes, seeking to understand the source of this fiery wrath and wondering how such bitterness could obscure the rational and kind. All around, the supermarket became a silent witness to this clash of epochs, a battle between the remnants of age-old prejudice and the emerging light of modern ideals of justice and mutual respect. As her words reached their zenith, the hall was filled with a ringing silence, as if nature itself demanded an answer that could soften the sharp edges of intolerance and division. This sudden eruption of prejudice marked the first step toward an inevitable confrontation, one that would shatter the quiet of the store like a lightning strike, heralding the beginning of a new chapter in a story where every word had the potential to reshape lives and spark a revolution of understanding. Chapter 3. A Response with Dignity. In the heavy silence that followed the woman's harsh outburst, Eminem slowly lifted his gaze, as if summoning the last reserves of his inner strength. His eyes, seasoned by storms of emotion and life's many trials, shone with a resolute determination as he realized it was time to answer, not with fury, but with wisdom. He drew a deep breath, as though absorbing the very energy of the world around him, and his voice, calm and steady, began to slice through the thick atmosphere of tension. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said softly but firmly, addressing not only the woman but everyone who had unwittingly become a witness to this confrontation. "Allow me to share a story that has defined who I am." His words, laden with profound meaning, hung in the air, prompting those around him to lean in as if eager to capture every nuance. Eminem continued, his speech unfolding like a carefully crafted melody that revealed not only his personal history but also the essence of a struggle that had always lingered behind the glare of fame. He spoke of how the streets of Detroit, steeped in hardship and hope, had forged his character, how every blow of fate, every trial, had been a stepping stone leading him to his present self. "I was raised here," he stated confidently, his voice both assured and calm, "among people who, despite all the hardships, never lost their belief in goodness. My parents, working day and night, taught me that dignity isn't measured by external appearances, but by what resides in the heart. Each of us deserves respect, regardless of the challenges we face." At these words, a palpable focus fell over the room. The listeners, previously stunned by the harsh accusations, now absorbed every syllable as if they were discovering anew the true meaning of pride and honor. Eminem's message was not merely a defense of his own identity, it was a powerful reminder that words could bridge the gap between the past and the present, illuminating the fallacies and prejudices that cloud judgment. "You claim that I am an outsider," he went on, addressing the woman directly, whose eyes still glowered with accusation. "But isn't it true that every one of us, no matter where we come from, aspires to the values our elders instilled in us? I am a product of these streets, and my roots run deeper than you can imagine. My ancestors weathered storms and endured hardships. Their sacrifice has given me the strength to stand here today and speak the truth." His words flowed with the calm assurance of a deep, still lake, reflecting not just his personal journey but the shared pain and hope of countless others for whom home meant more than a mere dot on a map. His gentle yet resolute tone penetrated the hearts of his listeners, urging them to consider how often we judge others without knowing the struggles they have endured. "You speak of belonging," he said, now addressing everyone present, "but the truth is this: belonging is not determined by the color of our skin or outward appearances, but by the spirit that unites us all. I am here because every step I take is infused with love for this land, because I understand how hard it is to fight for the right to be heard, to be respected. My failures and my victories are all part of a journey that has taught me to cherish every moment and every sincere word." In that moment, his response transcended mere retort. It became a bridge between two worlds, the world of outdated prejudices and the world where every individual, regardless of their background, is worthy of understanding and compassion. The woman, who had so vehemently delivered her words, appeared for the first time vulnerable in the face of such raw truth. Her rigid expression softened ever so slightly, and for a moment, a glimmer of doubt or perhaps understanding flickered in her eyes. The audience could not remain unmoved. Some nodded in quiet agreement, others lowered their gaze, seemingly ashamed of their previous indifference. Eminem concluded his speech with words that resonated like a clarion call. "Sometimes, a person's greatness is not measured by how they respond to insults, but by how they transform pain into a lesson and division into an opportunity for unity. Let us seek truth within our hearts, rather than in outdated myths and prejudices." With that, the tension in the room gradually gave way to a reflective murmur. Eminem's dignified and heartfelt response had become a beacon of light, a powerful reminder that even in a world marred by injustice, there is always room for hope if we are willing to listen and understand one another. Chapter 4: The Echo of Change. No sooner had Eminem's final words dissolved into the air than the atmosphere within the supermarket began to transform, as if invisible threads were weaving a new tapestry of meaning. The everyday sounds of the store, the gentle hum of the cash registers, the rustle of shopping bags, and the steady buzz of refrigerators took on the quality of a soft background score for a new symphony, where every note resonated with profound significance and the promise of change. Faces that had been lost in routine slowly began to awaken from their stupor. Some furrowed their brows as if attempting to banish the images of past grievances, while others listened intently, as if hearing their own stories for the first time. A young woman, stationed by the bakery, quietly remarked to her neighbor, "I never imagined that a simple grocery run could turn into such a revelation." Her voice trembled with a mix of astonishment and gentle wonder, as if she were trying to comprehend the enormity of what had just transpired. At the very center of the store, where moments before a frigid silence had prevailed, a subtle yet palpable storm of emotions began to rise. People exchanged glances that conveyed both trepidation and a budding hope for transformation. Even those who had earlier maintained a detached indifference now found themselves turning back, as if in search of affirmation in the faces around them. At the checkout, a timid young employee, previously absorbed in his routine tasks, mustered the courage to speak softly, almost hesitantly. Today I realize that we are all equal here. We cannot judge each other solely by appearance, for behind every face lies a life full of pain, joy, and struggle." His words, spoken with genuine warmth, sparked a quiet fire within the hearts of those present. With every murmured word and exchanged look, the supermarket space began to fill with an unseen energy, a promise to dismantle old boundaries. Casual remarks started echoing softly. "Perhaps it's time we stopped viewing the world through the lens of prejudice. How many more moments like this must we endure before realizing that we are all one family?" Even the most deeply ingrained wounds seemed, if only for a moment, to begin healing in the presence of understanding and kindness. In one corner, Near the vibrant display of fruits, a pair of elderly men exchanged silent looks, a testament to a lifetime of experiences in this very city. One of them, squinting thoughtfully, murmured, "In our years we've seen so much, and in the past, my heart would have ached to hear such words. But today it feels like there might finally be a chance for forgiveness and change." His words reverberated through the room, stirring something deep within each listener, reminding them that change, though slow, was possible. The supermarket, once a stage for mundane routine, had now become an arena where every sound and every shadow testified to the struggle for a brighter future. Shoppers began to subtly alter their habits, pausing longer before the shelves, engaging in soft conversations with strangers, sharing smiles that once had been rare. Even the woman who had so fiercely hurled her words now sat aside, her gaze lowered and her tightly grasped bag of apples gradually relaxing. In her eyes, something new emerged, not outright remorse, but a dawning recognition that words, when spoken in anger, can wound not only others but oneself. At that moment, the supermarket transformed into a symbol of change, a place where even the deepest divisions could, under the right conditions, begin to fade away in the light of sincere human connection. The echo of Eminem's words spread throughout the space, leaving behind an atmosphere charged with hope, as if the universe itself whispered, "All things are possible if we open our hearts to truth." Slowly, the store reclaimed its ordinary rhythms, but now the aisles and shelves carried a new significance. Each small detail, the arrangement of goods, the casual greetings between strangers, seemed imbued with purpose. People resumed their shopping, yet their eyes and gestures now hinted at a quiet promise that tomorrow might hold a better beginning. The echo of change, born in that fateful moment, continued to resonate within the hearts of everyone present. A gentle yet persistent reminder that even in the midst of our everyday routines, there lies the potential for profound transformation. Chapter 5. A New Dawn of Hope. As the final echoes of Eminem's speech faded into the background, the supermarket gradually came alive once more. Only this time, it carried an entirely different energy. In the air hung a unique blend of calm and renewed hope, as if nature itself had decided to grant its inhabitants a fresh start. The people leaving the store now moved with a subtle grace, their expressions reflecting gratitude, deep thought, and even a glimmer of hope for new beginnings. Eminem, gathering his purchases, stepped out with more than just bags of groceries. He carried with him the weight of a transformative day. His measured pace and the steady gleam in his eyes spoke of an inner resolve. He understood that this day had marked a turning point, not just for him, but for every soul who had witnessed those words that could alter one's perception of the world. As he walked towards the exit, his gaze met many faces, some beaming with quiet thankfulness, others deep in introspection, while a few still harbored a trace of uncertainty, as though, deep within, they were questioning if change was indeed possible. Outside, Detroit was bathed in the warm hues of an evening sunset. The golden light heralded the arrival of night, but also hinted at the promise of a new dawn, a dawn in which, as with every sunrise, hope and dreams were born anew. In this vibrant city, where life had always thrived in its own relentless rhythm, its inhabitants suddenly sensed that they could be more than just cogs in the wheel of routine. Their hearts, long encased in the chill of everyday monotony, now throbbed with a newfound tenderness, as if each had been ignited by a tiny spark, a spark that could light up the darkest hours. Inside the supermarket, just moments ago the stage of fierce confrontation, small groups of people lingered near the counters, discussing the events with a mix of gratitude and wonder. Clusters of shoppers huddled together, sharing their reflections on the significance of what had occurred. A young cashier, his eyes alight with genuine warmth, softly confided, "Today I realize that change starts with us. We must learn to truly listen to one another, even when words strike hard at first. Perhaps that is the true essence of unity." His gentle remark rippled through the crowd, reinforcing the belief that every spoken word had the power to forge new paths. Later that evening, in a modest home where Eminem met with close friends, the conversations continued long into the night. Gathered around a table illuminated by the soft glow of lamps, they not only recounted the events of the day, but also shared their dreams of what tomorrow might hold. One friend, his voice imbued with hope, observed, Today we witnessed more than just an argument. It was a chance for each of us to become a little kinder, a little wiser. Let these words not fade into oblivion, but serve as the first step on a long journey toward a better tomorrow. Indeed, even if the rhythm of everyday life eventually resumed its pace, the souls of those who had been there now carried a trace of that light, the promise that a brighter future was within reach. The woman whose harsh words had sparked such turmoil now walked the familiar streets with a reflective look, as if re-examining her long-held beliefs. Perhaps, in time, she would encounter someone who could help her see that old grudges might be left behind in favor of forgiveness and renewal. As dusk yielded to night, the city shimmered under the warm glow of streetlights, their reflections dancing on rain-washed pavements. Detroit, along with its residents, was no longer the same as before. In every window, every gentle smile, and every whispered word, there remained an echo of that transformative day, a day when words altered reality. People resumed their routines, yet their hearts now held a fragment of that light, a light powerful enough to melt the ice of ancient prejudices. Thus, a new dawn of hope broke through the darkness of ignorance and cruelty. That evening had become a symbol, a testament to the fact that even in the most ordinary places, a spark of change can be kindled if we dare to believe in the strength of words and the sincerity of the human heart. And perhaps, when tomorrow comes, each of us will wake up to a world where there is no room for hate, but plenty of space for love, understanding, and
If
unity.
you enjoyed this story, we'd love for you to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to continue sharing heartwarming, inspiring stories almost every day.